Hello, so let's get started with our attributes and talk about our first attribute, levels of measurement. So this is really a basic class about variables and different types of variables. Variables, as we know, they're questions measured in different ways, and these are the levels of measurement of these variables, right? There are 4 levels of measurement: ratio, interval, ordinal, nominal, okay? And I'm going to put them on a table here just so we can understand. We're going to dive directly into actual real-life examples of these. So a good example of a nominal variable is, what's your favorite color, right? So the question, the variable, what's your favorite color? To which the answers could be yellow, red, orange, or blue, right? As you know, every time we have a data, like a digital data set, we're usually attaching a number to each of the categories that we can choose in our answer. So let's say you're talking about color yellow. We're going to choose number 9. Why? Any specific reason? No, that could have been 7, could have been 14, 44 billion. It doesn't matter. As long as each category is attached to a number. Do those numbers mean anything? No, they don't, right? So this is the thing that a nominal variable has, that all variables has, which is that each value has a number, okay? That's what makes it a nominal variable, okay? As opposed to like an open-ended question like, what did you like about the moon? And then people just type it in. If people were typing it in, then it's kind of impossible to have each like value attached to a specific number, because it's very difficult that people will have the exact same answer, you know, about what their opinion of the moon is. So, okay, this is nominal. Next thing is ordinal. So for ordinal here, we have the example level of education. Level of education, we have, you know, what's your level of education? What's your highest achieved level of education? To which you can answer high school, bachelor's, master's, PhD, like in this particular situation. Well, we're attaching each of those values to a number, right? So we're doing that, but we're also dealing with values that are rankable, right? So 1, 3, 7, 9, right? PhD is higher than master's, 9 is higher than 7, master's higher than bachelor's, and so on, right? Moving on to this new level, interval. Interval, we can ask, hey, what's your level of extroversion? Or you could use a statement which is like, I am an extroverted person. How much do you agree with that statement? And then people can react from 1 to 7, 1 meaning strongly disagree, 7 meaning strongly agree, and you have all the possible numbers in between, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, in this case, this is an interval variable because each value has a number, great. The values are rankable, right? So 7 is greater than 6, greater than 5, and so on. But we also have the third thing that makes interval variables interval, which is the distance is between each of the values is the same, right? The distance between 1 and 2 is the same as the distance between 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 4 and 5, 5, 6 and 7. So like these are the distances. It might sound a little counterintuitive because you're saying, hey, but like these are opinions, like strongly agree, strongly disagree, I agree, I disagree. Well, the point is there's extensive evidence that this is actually roughly equal distance, because we found that these results tend to be normally distributed. We can talk about that more. You can just text me if you have questions about that. Finally, we have ratio. Ratio is this level of measurement in which you have a meaningful 0. So let's talk about this. So if I ask you, how many chairs do you have at home? Let's say you could have a couple of answers to that question of how many chairs you have at home. You could have 0 chairs, 1 chair, 2 chairs, 3, 4, 5, whatever. In this case, it's ratio because each value has a number. The values are rankable. The distance is the same. But also here, we have this extra thing that the 0 means nothing. What do I mean by that? When you have 0 chairs, that means the absence of chairs, right? As opposed to when we were dealing with an extroversion before. An extroversion, first of all, you can't even really have an extroversion of 0 because here the number goes only from 1 to 7. But, and the reason for that is that an extroversion of 0 wouldn't mean anything, right? Because it's not like you suddenly like not extroverted at all, right? Even if you're the most introverted person in the world, you're still somewhat extroverted. It's like there's no full absence of extroversion. That's impossible. So as opposed to chairs, you could have 0 chairs at home, for example. So that's the example, okay? Cool. So these are the 4 variables. The top 2 are continuous. So we group them with this name continuous because they're very numerical. The bottom ones, ordinal, nominal, we call them categorical because we're dealing with categories, and they're a little bit more limited in what we can do with them, as you would be able to tell. Okay, and the way I wanted to think about these is, iPhones, like every year there's a new iPhone, and the new iPhone has all the functions from the previous iPhones and new ones, right? So higher levels of iPhones do more things in the same way that higher levels of measurement do more things, right? So ratio does everything that interval, ordinal, nominal does, as you can see here, okay? And ratio, therefore, can pass as interval, ordinal, or nominal. Like, it's reverse compatible in that sense. That's why we talk about this being a hierarchy, right? Because ratio can do anything that interval can do. Interval can do anything that ordinal or nominal can do, but not the other way around, right? So nominal can't really do what ordinal or interval or ratio is. So the reason why we're learning these levels of measurement, especially about this hierarchy, is that we're going to use levels of measurement as one of the factors to decide which tests we're going to be using. Sometimes, for example, let's say you have a test that can only take interval variables. Does that mean that you have to only use interval variables? No, you could input a ratio variable in an interval minimum level type of test. That's all I'm trying to say. It's reverse compatible, right? So yeah, if you have a test that can only take nominal, it means you can input ordinal, you can input interval, you can input ratio. Now let's play this game show called What's the Level of Measurement, all right? And I'm going to leave this little cheat sheet here on the side with the little summaries of what each level consists of. Let me recap. So nominal, are all the values numbered, right? So that's what makes you nominal. Ordinal, are the values rankable? Interval, do all levels have the same distance between them? Ratio, does that variable has a zero? That means nothing. That means the absence of whatever we're discussing. Cool, so let's hit it. This is the question, what's your favorite TV show? Grey's Anatomy, Prison Break, SNL, or other. So what's the level of measurement? In this case, it is nominal, right? It's nominal because, well, all the variables could be labeled with a number, right? So that's possible. Nice. Now, can we promote it to ranking? Can we rank Grey's Anatomy, Prison Break, Saturday Night Live, or other just on its own? No, there's nothing about Grey's Anatomy that makes it inherently better than Prison Break. A lot of people get confused because they could say, oh man, but like, what if we got the number of views that we have in this particular show? Well, I know, but that would be a different question. The question would be, how many views does the show have? And that's a different variable. The question here is, what's your favorite TV show? And the options are these. And there's nothing inherently better about Grey's Anatomy compared to Prison Break. In the same way that there's nothing inherently higher or lower numerically when you talk about what's your favorite color, right? Like there's blue is not like higher or lower. Next question, how often do you talk about that show? So I have a couple of options. Never, sometimes, often, always, every second of my life. All right, so we can start with nominal because we can label every single one of the values we have, right? Never could be 1, sometimes could be 2 or whatever. Cool. Can we rank them? Yeah, actually we can because never is less than sometimes is less than often is less than always is less than every second of my life. Can we promote it to interval though? I'm not sure. What's the distance between never and sometimes? Is it the same as the distance between sometimes and often? The same as the distance between often and always? This cannot be interval. This is only ordinal. So here, slightly different question. How much do we agree with the following statement? I talk about that show a lot. I talk about my favorite show a lot. Strongly disagree, strongly agree. Okay, let's see. Can we label everything with a number? Yes, we can, so it's nominal. Can we rank these results? Yes, we can. 7 is more than 6, more than 5. Okay. Can we promote it to interval? Is the distance between each of them the same? Yes, it is, because 1 is 2, and 3 and 4, it's always 1, right? So the distance is the same here. Can we promote this to ratio? Can we turn this into ratio? Well, does the 0 mean nothing? First of all, we can't even get 0 here, because if you choose strongly disagree, that's already set to the value 1, so we can't even get 0. Plus, it's actually good that we don't have a 0 here, because what this variable is measuring is less the frequency with which you're talking about that show. Like, if we wanted to measure that, we would probably measure, like, how many minutes do you talk about this show every week? But people usually don't remember that when you're sending them a questionnaire. So we're asking them a different question. And in order for you to understand the next example, I'm going to have to remind you of what a tug of war is. So tug of war is that game that people usually play in summer camp where you have a rope. Some people are pulling that rope on one side, people pulling the rope on the other side, and you see where the rope ends. So really what I'm looking at in your brain, do you think that this is more true or that is more true? And this is sort of what we call semantic differentiation. It's not exactly what this is called, but semantic differentiation is a term that we commonly use to refer to questions that have two opposite meanings, and you're just trying to see where the person is between the two meanings. This one in particular is actually called a Likert scale, and you can read more about it on Google. Next thing, what is your age in years? Okay, cool. So let's say a person is filling out their age in years. And here we're blocking this to only take answers in actual digits, right? Actual numbers. Okay, so let's say you type in 23, 24, or whatever. We're going to have a certain range of answers. And can we consider this as nominal? Yes, we can actually, because each of the values that you find, they're going to be like 24, 23, 25. Each of the values are going to be attached to a number. Great, which is the number that you typed in. Great. Can we rank them? Yes, because 23 is older than 24, and so on. Great. Is it interval? Yes, because the distance is always 1 year, right? 23 plus 1 year is 24, plus 1 year is 25, so it's interval. Great. Is it ratio? Do you have a zero that means nothing? And it is. We do have a zero that means nothing. If you have, 0 completed years of age, is the time when you're a newborn and you have not completed the first year of your life. So you have 0. Next question. What's your biological sex? Male, female. So now you tell me, can we label that? Well, we can say male is 1. We can say the female is 2. So nominal for sure. Great. Can we rank them? No, there's nothing inherent about being a male or a female that makes you numerically higher than the other, right? These are just two categories. So you can't really rank them. So it's nominal. So let's go to the next example. In this example, I rephrased the question, what's your biological sex, into this new question, which is how many female bodies do you own for yourself? Okay, like how many female bodies do you as a person have? To which the answer could be 1 or 0. And 1 naturally would mean female, 0 would mean male. In terms of biological sex in the views of the 50s, okay, all right? I'm just simplifying things here so we can learn. Can we call this nominal? Yes, of course we can call this nominal, right? We can label. We're labeling female with 1 and male with 0. Like, we can do it. That works. Can we rank them? Well, there's nothing inherent about biological sex that makes you rank like male being higher than female. But in this case, we're playing a little game. We're playing a little competition called who has the most female bodies? And in this competition, the rule is that if you have more female bodies, you win. So it's true that if you're female, you can actually win that competition of who has the most female bodies. So yes, you can rank them. You can say that females have more female bodies than males. You understand? Now, is this interval? Well, the distance between 0 and 1 is 1, and there's only one distance. So yes, for sure it's interval, because all the distances are like the same, because there's only one distance. So that's cool. Can we promote this to ratio? Well, do we have a 0 that means nothing? Yes, we do, because in the same way that you have 0 chairs at home, you as a male have 0 female bodies, like in your possession. In the views of the 50s, okay? It's 2023 or whatever, but let's imagine we're in the 50s. If you're a male in the 50s, you only have your male body, so you have 0 female bodies. So that's the absence of a female body, so that's why it works. All right, cool. So yes, this is ratio. Now you might be asking yourself, how the fuck did we get here? Because it makes sense that this would be ratio, but like this used to be a nominal question. Well, this is a very important trick that we use in statistics to sort of promote the ranking of a variable without having all the qualifiable like characteristics in situations when we have these two conditions. The first condition is that it's a dichotomous variable that has only two options, right? So it's only either male or female. And another condition is that they're mutually exclusive. So if you are male, you automatically are not female, and vice versa, right? So these are what we call dummy variables. It's a situation in which you convert a variable that's not ratio into ratio level. Usually do that from nominal to ratio level. Now let's take a deep breath. Now that we know all the levels of measurement, I just wanted to point out so you know which sort of mean median mode that you can use with each level. So with nominal, you can use mode, right? That's literally how we do elections. We have 3 candidates. What's your preferred candidate? And you see which one is the most occurring candidate, and that's the candidate that wins. That's the mode. Great. Mode and median, they're both applicable to ordinal. Ordinal, you can use median because you can actually rank the results. and then you can find the middle point, right? And of course, you can get the mean from either interval or ratio because they're continuous variables as we're talking about them. Now let's talk about checking for missing values. It's something very important, and your knowledge of levels of measurement is actually going to be very useful. So the first thing we're going to do, let's say we just open our data set and we're curious about what the average age in our data set is. So in SPSS, we're going to go to Analyze Descriptives, and we're going to get this dialog box. We're going to add and toss this age variable into the variables that we actually want to look at. And you're going to get this dialog box if you click under Options, and you're going to select what the statistics, what the numbers you want to obtain from that. Then after you hit Continue, you're going to get this descriptives output, and that's going to show you an average age in the sample, and the average age in the sample is 87.3. Now, the weird thing, you guys don't know this, but I conducted this survey, so I don't know how the average ended up being 87.3 years of age, because I didn't conduct this in a retirement home or anything. So what's happening here? We probably have incorrect data. So let's look at the incorrect data. And this is how I check for missing values. You go on SPSS, menu bar, data, define variable properties. You're going to find this dialog box, and you're going to shift and select all of these variables, toss them all into the variables to scan. Then you're going to hit Continue, and you're going to get this new dialog box. This is going to show all the variables that you have in your data set. Here we have 4 variables: gender, age, television, which is what's your favorite TV show. Talk about how often do you talk about that show. Cool. So under gender here, we see we have 20 counts of males coded to value 0, 20 counts of females coded to value 1. We can see that they coded it to values 0 and 1 to make this a dummy variable. So now we can consider this ratio, right? So that's great. Cool. Second thing we go to is age. And now here at age, we're looking at the age of people. We have 4 people with age 16, value 16, also age 16. 16 people with age 19 and so forth. And then we have 1 guy with age 223. Okay, I understand now what's happening. I understand why our average is so high. Because some dude was typing in the age 23 and he added an extra 3 by accident, and now he's messing up my mean. So this is the guy. And what do we do now? We go and we select this particular case as missing. Now, SPSS is going to ignore this guy's age, okay? It's going to act like it doesn't exist. And moving on, we have television. Here we have 12 people who chose Grey's Anatomy, 16 people chose Prison Break. So nothing weird here. This is just a very useful tool to look at your data set. Okay, so let's look at the mean again. We go to Analyze Descriptors, select everything, run the mean analysis again, and now we find 20.90 as the average, right, of our sample. The average age is 20.90 years of age. Perfect. This is better. Much better. We got rid of the missing values. Gratitude breath. So that's it. I'll see you next class.